super excited to have my great friend Peter Foldis here, Plouton Live. Peter, thanks for joining me, man.
Oh man, my pleasure, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
I'm extremely excited about this because my mission is to help people realize their purpose in retirement. We have a lot of connections in terms of how we think about purpose and how to help serve people to go beyond just the financial tools, but really get into some intentional living. We had a great conversation at the And Asset Mastermind, so I wanted to invite you on the channel so we could talk about the vision you share with me and the things that you're really focused on in your practice. Because we're in the same business, we're serving people who are in retirement, but you and I share kind of a unique perspective, and particularly you have just a great view on what it means to help people realize their purpose and achieve vision in retirement. So I was wondering if you could kind of unpack that and share that with our audience, because I think there's a lot to offer there.
Absolutely, Daniel. And again, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You really said it, a purpose in retirement, and even beyond, prior to retirement, a purpose in life.
Mhm.
So often we go through the motions of working our jobs and saving the money and doing the things we think we're supposed to do, that the world has told us to do. And then we get to a point in life where we hope to realize the dreams and the fulfillment that comes with the idea of all the things we would do once we get to retirement. So going through this industry, learning and failing, as well as in the health industry and education industry, prior to me becoming an agent and helping folks with their finances. As a certified financial fiduciary, one of the things I'm legally obligated to do is serve someone in their best interest.
Mhm.
And what I found was even after I helped somebody with their retirement, even after I helped them create guaranteed income, even if I after I helped them with clarity on what their financial future looked like, my clients weren't realizing fulfillment in their lives. And so what I did was I actually flipped the process. And so at Pluton Life, what we do is we have a purpose process, our Pluton possibility process that helps people understand a greater vision for their life so that they can live more purposeful and they can have fulfillment now and in the future. And so what we've been able to do is instead of serving people's financial needs first, we serve their life needs, and then we're able to connect the dots and understand the best ways to help them with the tools that is a financial product. Those are just tools, and so we teach them how to use them.
That's so awesome. What a great way. So you get down to really the most important things first, and then you just reverse engineer the products that are going to support the strategy that helps them show up. So talk to me about this process, right? Am I right in that? Is that the process? Like you're focusing on them first, and then you're just putting in the tools that they need after you really understood them.
Absolutely. So we look at all areas of life, spiritual, family, work, financial, health, mental, physical, emotional, and ultimately we help some people resolve the things in their life that have created the most trauma and pain and help them find love and appreciation in those things.
Wow.
Um, Guilt and shame are actually the two things that prevent people's financial abundance. So we know that if we can tackle those things and lead someone to a place of appreciation for those very same things they feel guilty or shameful about, then we actually not only open doors in finances, but we release things in their life that have held them back up until this point.
Oh my gosh. Do you believe that, finance has a deep tie to the psychological and emotional things that we harbor, think about, that we practice every day? Like what is the connection there?
No doubt, whether it's financial, whether it's perceived victimization,
Mm.
I'm a victim, someone's a victim, pointing blame, and ultimately creating reasons in our mind why we haven't achieved the things we want to achieve in our life. And so part of our vision process, part of our possibility process helps people understand at a higher level what they really care most about. And the most important part of the process is really establishing your values. Not just I value money, but what is actually the reason why you value that money? What does that money allow you to do? And beyond that, now once we know what your values are and you're crystal clear on what your values are, we can start aligning your actions with your values to create the outcomes that you seek.
That's so powerful, man. So tell me what like a process looks like. So you're sitting down with a client, you meet somebody for the first time. I feel like sometimes when we're meeting new people, there's a certain level of respect and there's a process to getting to know somebody, right? There's such a thing as you can be a little too forward or you can be a little too abrupt or maybe just kind of overstep your boundaries a little bit. But how do you get to that level first? How are you able to connect with someone in your process? Like what is a first meeting with somebody like to get to that level before you get to the financial piece?
That's a great question because there's challenges in helping somebody feel comfortable to open up not just their life, their financial books, but their hearts. And
Right.
one of the ways that I've found is the best way to do that is by opening up my heart. And when you do that, you give someone else the permission to do so too. And so what ends up happening is the process requires a series of particular questions geared to understanding not only the things that were said, but some of the things that weren't said. And then
Mhm.
being able to create connections between all of the entanglement that exists in the thoughts and behaviors and the misalignments that are incongruent with our values, right? Because so many people are out there living life incongruent with what they really want because they hope and believe and pray that ultimately, if they do what they should do, what everyone has told them to do for their entire life, get that 401k because everybody's doing it,
Mhm.
that they'll get the outcomes that they want. And then at a higher level, why that 401k hasn't proved to be an outcome that actually provides the fulfillment in finances is because of all the reasons that we help educate people in our industry, that you and so many others educate people on when it comes to things like the markets haven't really developed from 1999 to 2013. There was a basically equilibrium in the marketplace. Well, what did people lose during that time? They lost one of the most important things in life, time, right? And with that comes inflation. And so if you have the same amount of money that you had 14 years ago, but you got inflation working against you, then ultimately you're not even where you were back in 14 years ago. You're further behind. And so we help resolve some of those things and again, going back to the root of the problem, right? I've always been a big believer, whether it was when I was a massage therapist trying to help somebody analyze and understand why they had physical pain, getting to the root of the problem was really always the answer to being able to address the issue and then create a new outcome. And so that's really what we do when we go through our process. And how we start is by finding out what's most important to that person. And ultimately, that's what leads us down the path.
So profound, man. I love it. This is why we're totally aligned. Everything you said, I talk about in meetings and agree with 100%. And that's why I always love our conversations. And we never have enough time for content because we spend all the time just talking ourselves. But just one
Likewise.
thing I want to find out from you, and this is important because I think this is what you shared with me that really piqued my interest and just drew me to you and what you're doing for your clients and why we connect. Because share with me if you're comfortable, just the vision of Pluton Life. Like, let's say we take this out 10, 20 years, where are
Mm.
you guys serving and what does that look like in terms of how you're showing up for your clients?
Got chills thinking about that. Overall, goals have a destination. They have an endpoint, and they're within time and space. But the difference between a goal and a purpose is that it's through time and space, and there is no destination. So even when I hear you ask the question about 10 or 20 years from now, what wakes me up every day, what gets me out of bed, what puts a pep in my step, and what allows me to show up for my family, for my clients, for my friends, to be here with you right now, is a
Mhm.
purpose greater than myself. And so what we really seek to create is a purpose greater for our clients than themselves, a vision that they can have and understand legacy. One thing that Plouton did for quite some time was focus on legacy design. And the way that we help people create a legacy is to have them understand a vision of their life beyond their time so that they can create something so powerful and profound that when their physical being is no longer with us, that their existence and their impact continues to live through those that they created an impact for.
That's so amazing. You shared something so beautiful with me, and I'd love to close with it if you're comfortable with it or open to it. I didn't ask your permission ahead of time, but it just made my day. It was so amazing
Open book.
and so personal. I figured you would be. So you sent me this text today, and it just stopped me in my track. I mean, literally, I was walking down a flight of stairs when I read it, and I was like, "Whoa, I got to read that again!" Like that was pretty amazing. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that story and your personal history and what you walked through?
It'd be my pleasure. It's actually why purpose, why legacy is so important to me. Both of my grandfathers were first generation immigrants to this country, both established small fortunes that they were able to create. Both were entrepreneurs and showed us the way, showed me the way from a standpoint of example. And when both of those men died, they actually died 1 month apart from each other. And when both of those men died, things changed dramatically for my family. And at that time, I was 15 years old. And I was actually the one that found one of my grandfathers dead. I went to go give him breakfast that morning, and I was the one that found him. And I share that with you because that had a traumatic effect on me as a
Yeah.
teenager. And it took me a long time to understand why. things happened the way they did. And it put me on a process to always live meaningfully, to make sure that I didn't die without regret, to make sure that I was able to pursue my dreams. And that's why ultimately I pursued as long as I could my dream of playing professional baseball. Why ultimately all of the different things that have happened in my life are connected and rooted in these moments, because those two men taught me what it is to be able to have an impact beyond one's time in life. And today, what I sent you a message about was how my grandfather, one of my grandfathers, still sends messages to me today, still sends me gifts today. He created one of his companies over 50 years ago, and fortunate enough to receive a distribution today. Small, humble distribution, just a few $100. And at some times in my life, that few $100 meant the world to me. It put food on my table when I otherwise didn't know that where I was going to get my next meal. But today, what it reminded me of is impact and legacy. And what I sent you the message was is why I feel so grateful and blessed to be with you right now. And the way that he lives on is by telling this story. Right now he is amongst us because we're speaking about him, because we're talking about him. And that's the most profound thing about purpose and legacy in my mind, is how we can keep those alive that have been able to be the ones that have made the most profound impact in our life. That's why we have giants, figures in the world like Plato, Socrates, like Rockefeller, that we can take examples from, look at, see, and then learn from. And so, just an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak about him and speak of him and speak him into the world that we get to experience.
Peter, that is absolutely beautiful. I definitely would be honored if you would come back and we can continue this conversation. I think you've just helped me define legacy, and I kind of got a sample of this when my wife's grandfather passed. When my wife's grandfather passed in 20, I believe it was 2016 now. Gosh, a long time ago. We found out that he had established college funds for all of his great grandkids, and some hadn't even been born yet. And I thought, man, that's legacy. Like, our grandkid, or my daughters are going to know who her grandfather is. And the same is true for your grandfather, right? Like, I think legacy could really be summed up as doing something for others that you've never even met and may never even meet. And that's like something so powerful you can leave to the next generation. So I'm honored that you shared that. I'm so grateful for you to come on, man. I'm super excited for you to come to Phoenix. I can't wait to create content and have you in the studio. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. If people want to get a hold of you and they want to go deeper, if they have like a financial professional, they have an advisor, but they're not touching anything on the surface, how can they get a hold of you to reach out to see if you can kind of help them out?
Absolutely. And truly, one of the best things about our process is if you have another financial advisor, you have someone that you want to keep managing your assets, that's okay by us. Our Plouton process, again, addresses your needs first. You can find us at ploutonlife.com. That's Plouton life.com. And of course, you can go ahead and put the phone number, contact information below the video for everybody to be able to call and reach out as well. And again,
Absolutely.
Daniel, what a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for being able to contribute and share a little bit of my story, my grandfather's story,
Yeah.
and to be able to serve your viewers today.
It's an honor, man. It's an honor to be a part of your grandpa's story and share this with people and have him have an impact on people that heard that and maybe you're thinking about things a little differently tonight. So thanks again so much for being here. If you guys like this content, please feel free to reach out to Peter. Go to PloutonLife.com. He's an incredible individual. He's somebody that I talk to regularly. He's become a great friend. I think you'd be well served with him, and I highly recommend that. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.